Good morning! Good morning! Much better. Give yourselves a round of applause. I can tell what kind of meeting this is going to be. Shut up and hurry up. For those of you who don't know, I am not Councilman Tate. My name is Aaron Hall, and I'm the community liaison to the office of Councilman Tate here in District 1. As I look into the audience, I see a lot of new faces, so let me go ahead and just give you guys the quick breakdown. Welcome to Satellite Hours. This is the final Satellite Hour meeting of the month of February. For those of you who aren't familiar with the rules, allow me to break them down for you. First rule of Satellite Hours, are no rules. Basically, this is an opportunity for you to come on out and meet your neighbors, fellow residents, and people in the community. And you can have a conversation with the councilman one-on-one and kind of pick his brain. Now, obviously, he's going to be coming up shortly. I'm doing the introductions, but we want to make sure that we have a friendly, respectful environment. Because at the end of the day, respect is number one on our rules. So with that being said, if you don't have the microphone, could you please not talk on this area? And if you're in the back, could you please keep your volume down? If you got a question, I'll be doing the microphone. I'll be sure to get to you. We go in a organized manner, but we still like to have a little bit of fun. I'd like to thank our host, the Motor City Job House, for having us. Give them a round of applause, please. This is an amazing building owned by Mr. John George and Miss Alicia George. They took this place from a blighted property to a jewel of the community, so we're very proud to be here today. I want to let you guys know, if you haven't already, please get yourself a beverage. We like to sow a seed into our small businesses. A lot of places will just go somewhere and soak up air. You know what I mean? We don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're supporting our local area small businesses. So please go ahead, get a drink, coffee, water, tea, juice, pop. That's all we got a budget for. All right? So don't go order a sandwich and try to put it on my tab. I can't do it. I don't make enough as it is. All right? What we're going to do now is go around the room. We'll start on this side. Just tell us who you are. Okay, your name, if you're from a group or an organization, let us know who you are. We can go ahead and get this meeting started. We have right here who's going to pop it off for us, Mrs. Daniela. Say hi to Daniela. And while we're on the subject matter, say hi to Reggie. And then we have Aisha, and we have nobody. We have Aisha. This is our staff. Give them a round of applause, folks. Those of you who are also having your first experience with us, we record our meetings. So if we say it here, it's fact, all right? So don't try to... Well, he said to us, that's not the case. Well, no, we like to broadcast our meetings live to those people at home, too. So everybody wave at the camera and say, hi, Facebook. Hi, Facebook. All right, let's make sure we got that one. Let's start with our first contestant over here.
Hello, I'm Megan Douglas. I am with For Future Michigan.
Welcome. What's that?
For Future is an organization that looks to build power among grassroots organizations across the state of Michigan.
What the hell are you? Tell me what you do. Thanks for coming out.
My name is Brenda Thompson. I'm here on behalf of Good Jobs Now, organizing group, and I'm also a precinct delegate for this district of 336.
Okay, welcome. Thanks for coming out.
Hello, I'm Rosin Ogburn, also lead organizer with Good Job Now, social justice, economic change organization, and I'm also a precinct delegate of 336 also.
Okay, cool. Thank you for coming out.
Good morning, I'm Virginia Tate, and I'm a resident of Rosedale Park.
Councilman Tate's cousin.
Right, the other two.
She's going to be in the news.
Good morning. My name is Annette Flowers. I am with Fenmore Summit Block Club. That's Fenmore between Florence and Puritan.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tanisha Sanders. I go by T. I'm with Detroit Action Commonwealth and also with Good Jobs Now.
That's a very cool shirt.
Morning, everyone. My name is Roshan Harris. I'm with Good Jobs Now as a field organizer.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Alberta Williams, member of Vaughn Street Block Club.
Keith Williams, Vaughn Street Block Club.
You grab the microphone and she's the boss thing.
Hi, my name is Raven. I organize with Black Youth Project 100. We are looking to build freedom and power for all Black people locally in the city of Detroit. We're a national organization.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Johnson with the Center for Urban Studies at Wayne State University, working on a project called Intersections, Creating Safe Spaces. We maintain data for Detroit Police Department, and my particular project how we can help as a community make spaces safer and intersect issues related to intimate partner violence.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Naeem Edwards, representing Michigan State University Extension, and we're trying to open an urban ag, forestry, and research site over here on Grove and Lamphere, a block south of 6 Mile, a couple blocks west of Lawson.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cindy Parent, and I'm from Redford Lutheran Church, just down the street.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Raymond Parent, husband to Cindy, and I am the pastor of Redford Evangelical Lutheran Church, right over here in front of Old Redford Academy.
Hello, my name is India Jones, and I'm a precinct delegate of Precinct 324, and I also am a resident of Roaston.
Hello, my name's Maureen Young. I live on Patton, and I'm kind of here on behalf of myself and my neighbors.
My name is Onitra Slaughter, and I'm with DAC, Detroit Action Commonwealth.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Clarence Gales. I actually live in District 2, but I haven't been to the coffee hours in a while, and I just wanted to get back into the groove of things. That's all.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Hello, everybody. I'm Latrice McClendon, your District 1 manager. Just here to check you guys out today.
Hey, Latrice.
Good morning, everyone. I'm James Liddell. I'm a member of the Grandma 4 Citizens Radio Patrol, and we're trying to keep our neighborhood safe.
Ian Whitelaw with Mortensen's Grand River Neighborhood Association, west of Telegraph, south of Grand River, north of Big Beach.
Gwen Weathersby. Carol Jenkins, William Street Block Club, between Eaton and Shelford.
Hey, Mama Carol. I think we missed the gentleman right here in the front. Oh, I'm sorry.
Trying to skip something.
Give yourself a pep talk. You can do it. You can do it. Your name is. Oh, man.
Doug Russell, Detroit Blockworks. I'm here today mostly to talk about the Greenway project coming here to Old Redford and the fact that we're working on creating a community development corporation for the neighborhood.
Thanks for coming, Doug. Gentleman right here in the front.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Denzel McCampbell. I'm with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib's office.
Thanks for coming. If I could go here, I would have that haircut. That's cool. Have we missed anyone?
Good afternoon. Good morning. I'm sorry. Nanette Wade. I work at Development Centers Incorporated. We're located on Telegraph Road.
I believe that is everyone. Give yourselves a round of applause, folks. Before I bring up the councilman, I wanted to make a quick announcement. When you came in, you should have received the sign-in sheet. We want to make sure that everyone takes that information and signs in. This is nothing political. We're not trying to get your information to mail you stuff. This is simply us trying to get information to you. Just like you found about this meeting, we want to make sure any resources that we collect, we get out to you as soon as possible. Also, if you have a social media page, write that down there. Don't give us the fake email or leave it blank. We want to make sure you get these pictures. If you see Daniela or Reginald snapping pictures around here, it's not for us to keep it. You know, have a secret directory. We want to make sure you get those pictures too. They're really nice quality pictures. We want to make sure you get them. So if you haven't got that sign-in sheet, I'm going to personally see to it that it's floated around the room. We ask you to please sign in. Got it? I'm so unenthusiastic. I'm doing a horrible job today. I apologize for failing you today. But just kidding, folks. All right, guys, let's take the opportunity to welcome Councilman James Tate as he comes to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And thank you for being here. Cold day, but as usual, we tend to pack out the place. And I appreciate you being here. I see a lot of new faces here today. All new faces, new people, first time. Raise your hand, please. All right, give them a round of applause for being here. Those of you who've been here before, raise your hand. Give those folks a round of applause. And I do this, and it's not, and I always say this, it's not just to kind of do a hand clap, but the reality is we can have this meeting every Friday, every other Friday. We can have meetings every fourth Saturday, and nobody shows up. We can have all this information. But really, you all are the reason why we do it. And so for me, it's imperative for me to take the information that I get from you all and use it in whatever capacity I can as I sit at the council table. And that doesn't mean that we're always going to agree. Doesn't mean that. That means that we have an opportunity now to have deliberation over some of these issues. Because there's some things that we just won't agree upon. But more than likely, we are on the same page. It's just a matter of how do we get there. And so we often have in the room people who believe that I have all the answers. I clearly don't. And that's, again, why it's imperative that we create this community that we have, because there are people in this room who solve potentially the same issue that you have on your block, in your neighborhood, going on in your life. They've already overcome it. And they need you to speak up. And the other person who's going through something, they need you to speak up as well, because they don't know. That's why we have these meetings. It's not just for me to come up and give a pep rally, not for me to just say, come love me. I don't mind if you love me, but that's not why we do it. We do it because we want to make sure that we're doing as best as we can to provide the best service for the residents of the city of Detroit. And so we can let some folks know we still have some empty seats up front here. It's not reserved, no VIPs. Everybody's all the same. So if you can have them come on in, we got some more seats. So the way it works is that we don't have any, for those of you who've never been here before, there's no stupid question, no silly question, no too hard question. Every question, anything is on the table, and it's for us to discuss. And we just go around the room. For those of you new people here, raise your hand. How did you guys find out about it? Because I always am excited about new people when they show up to our meetings. How did you all find out about the meeting? Anyone? Because we want to know, we want to make sure the stuff that we do is effective.
It was a shared mail invite.
Okay.
It was a shared mail invite.
Shared mail invite? All right, so we reaching the right people. I mean, so we send emails, we send Facebook posts, we send texts, we do all types of them. We go out to community meetings. We have our own meetings, so we're trying to find new ways. We actually see right there, and today, typically what we have is every one of our meetings is streamed live. That we have today. For some reason, the equipment's not working right. That's what equipment does, but we're still recording it. So everything we say today is going to be on the record. So I don't say anything in one room that I can't say in another room. Transparency is extremely important, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go around the room, and we're going to start on this side, since she's recording me. So we're going to start with you. Any questions, concerns? If you don't have one, that's okay, too. Just pass the mic. So Aaron's going to go around with the microphone. Aaron Hall.
I'm here to listen.
I got one. Hi, I'm Kevin Kev. I work at the Artist Village Detroit. I work with Black Bus.
Kevin Kev, you need to be up here.
I'll come up here. You know how I like being up here.
Carrying card member.
My concern is that after we get through taking care of our business for the day, y'all come back here to us. 6 o'clock p.m. for Jazz at Java. It's community-based. We started for community. We keep doing it for the community. Come on through 6 o'clock. Shout out to my 4-year block club. Woo-hoo. They have not missed one yet. Okay? We could use the support. So if you ain't doing nothing 6 o'clock today, let's get together on that common ground music and blow off some steam. There's my concern.
You forgot the main thing.
What did I forget?
The main thing. How much does it cost?
Tonight, just for my people, District 1, just come on through. Okay? Just come on through.
Absolutely free.
Free 99.
And it's a good time, y'all. This man, he's very humble. He's a phenomenal musician. You know, yeah, that word. This man can play.
And real quick, for our people that don't necessarily do social media, I made flyers to remind you. So come on through and help us out. Come groove with us tonight. Who's next?
Jazz at Java, y'all.
Hi, I'm Tanisha with Detroit Action Commonwealth.
Good morning.
Good morning. So basically we deal with low-income people and also homeless people, and we're building citizens one person at a time, you know, getting them resources and things like that. And also I'm with Good Jobs Now. We're social, just economic changes in the neighborhood. We're not only doing the city, we're doing across Michigan. And basically we have Roshan Harris here, and he has a packet and also a question for you.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
First of all, appreciate you having this meeting here today. Like I said, my name is Roshan Harris. Speaking on behalf of Good Jobs Now, community grassroots organization focused on social and economic justice and just overall upliftment of our people. And so we have a list of questions and concerns that we wanted to present to you, just to give you kind of a scope of what we do as an organization. I'm a field organizer, so I'm literally knocking on doors in Rosedale and communities all across the city of Detroit, really trying to connect with folks to our organization and how we can really help them and have a line of communication between the community folks and folks like yourself to help solve problems that we face in the community. So today we just had a few concerns that we want to bring to your attention. I'm sure you're probably already aware of some of these issues, and so we just want to bring light to these issues and get some type of formal response, but also we understand that we want to build a relationship with you as well and seeing how we can solve these problems moving forward. So one of the things we wanted to bring to your attention is you've been in office obviously since 2013. And so you know
2010.
That's
right.
I stand corrected.
Yes, sir.
But I'm sure you're aware of what we call the illegal property tax assessment that took place roughly around the time between 2009 and 2015, which made about 1 in 4 families here in Detroit. Yeah, so we're talking about the displacement of families, you know, children being uprooted from their schools and different things like that. There's so many different residual outcomes to a family being removed from their home. My family was a family that has gone through that crisis as well.
That caused, if I may, that caused a lot of the blight that we have in our communities.
Absolutely. So, you know, as I'm walking up and down the street, knocking on doors and walking past abandoned homes, we know where that comes from and what kind of the source of that turmoil lies. So what we would like to ask you, what have you done in support of our residents to stay in their homes and to make sure that, you know, working families and families all across the city of Detroit are able to maintain the most prized asset a family could have, which is the possession of a home?
So what have I done personally? So I'll tell you, as a city council member, we all have different passions and things that we work on individually. And so I can't say I'm the one who's worked on jobs for, I think it's the Fight for 15. I can't say that. Can't say that I worked on the tax foreclosure issue individually as personally. We do have council members, and certainly I always lift her up, certainly Council Member Mary Sheffield done a tremendous job. And I'm on the record in supporting each and every one of the ordinances that come forward, because that's where she's put a lot of her work in. And in many of our other council members, that's the same thing across the board. I personally, I'm doing my best to try to support the businesses in the neighborhood. And the reason why I do that is because many of the business owners who live in the neighborhood, who work in this, who have businesses in the neighborhood, live in the neighborhood as well. That allows for potential generational wealth and ownership. I look at it and attack it that way. I also look at it from the standpoint, we have the Task Force on Black Male Engagement. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. And so what we do is we try to attack the social issues that are affecting people in their families and their home. We can't legislate that stuff. And so we have within the Task Force on Black Male Engagement, Aaron is the individual that's over. We go and we greet students at the schools, but we also are working on mentoring, and we have with the what's called D1 CAN, our other initiative, that attacks the gun violence that is happening in the city of Detroit, specifically in District 1. Daniela is over that initiative. Once again, we work on the mentoring, try to work with the families dealing with those particular issues. So I can't say, and I'm not going to even try to pretend as if I have this big, long list of legislation that I personally have put together, but I am supportive of each and every one of this across the table. If you have one that some other legislation that you think that I should be working on, put it out here and we can have a discussion.
Well, definitely, we appreciate that, and we are working to help you build policy. And so I did bring some information that I would like to pass along to you as well, so you can take a look at that, look at some of the numbers, and really kind of digest the full scope of how Detroiters are impacted by this crisis. So we've also been talking to other city council members as well and state representatives about the expansion of the tax exemption program and allowing it to be retroactive, which means it will apply to the previous years with effective hardship to those particular families. Tell us, would you support an initiative that would assist families from being removed from their homes, such as this one?
Depending on if it's an illegal act, absolutely.
Okay, so we've established that the majority of these foreclosures that took place were illegal.
So when you say retroactively, that now becomes a legal issue. So I'm not going to sit up here and say, yes, I'm going to do it just to be put on the record. What I have to do is go and look at the legal ramifications of it and see what that means and unpack it. So that's
that's fair enough. And we definitely would like to give you the opportunity to do that. Like I said, we'd like to keep future correspondence so we can keep this line of communication open. So we just want to stress the urgency for families, for working families, and for families, that are really on the brink of poverty and are really struggling, really just for basic survival and needs. And so we always have to keep, like I said, the least of those who are the most vulnerable in our minds and in our sights whenever we do whatever community work that we're focused on. And so that's why we bring that to your attention in that way. Last question. Foreclosures and gentrification is real in historic communities. And especially if you're talking about Grandmont and Rosedale, which is one of the richest, proudest communities that we have.
When you say rich.
When I say rich, I'm talking about riches in culture.
Then you absolutely right.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm with you.
So
I live over there. I ain't rich. That's the reason I said that.
I think we need, as a people, to redefine what our riches are, so we can recognize, our true value. And so that's why I speak on behalf of the riches of such a great community that is well organized. And I speak from experience, being a field organizer, knocking on doors. When we knock on doors in Rosedale, we're knocking on folks that are going to community meetings. We're knocking on folks' doors that are involved and want to see. They have a vested interest in the city. Not just Rosedale, but the entire city, living up to its full potential and being a great city that it always has.
Right next door, you got Brightmore.
That's it. That's
challenges, and I'm over there because when folks get their homes up from ownership.
Absolutely. So we just want to ask you, will you work with us in supporting families, stabilizing communities by keeping them in their homes, having a relationship with our organization, Good Jobs Now, to ensure that this happens. And like I said, keeping a future correspondence and communication and meeting with us possibly within a month time or so that we can hash out and possibly assist you in really trying to develop some policy that puts some teeth into trying to have protections for working families and poor families here in the city of Detroit.
So the answer is I work with anybody. Anyone who's been here, anyone who knows me and know how I operate, they know that's the case. So I never have an issue with sitting down, having a conversation. Once again, I will never agree to something that I cannot back up. But what I will do is have a conversation. So I know it feels like there was an email that went out and tell folks to come out here and show up. We do this all the time. This is what we've been doing for years. Not just this year, not just election year. I go to community meetings. We have 89, I think the number now, Reggie, is 89 community associations and block clubs located in the 18.8 square miles of District 1. And so we do our best to attend each and every one of those meetings. We can't be there at every one of them. I have two gentlemen who are part of my community team, and I would go out. We do our best. And so we're out there as well, hearing those same concerns, working with those same issues, and that's why we created this. As you know, this is not part of the charter to have community meetings. We have at least 3 community meetings ourselves every month. Just past this past Saturday, and what we also do in this office, we have these things called tape talks. So I go out to non-traditional locations, barbershops, we have a food pantry, grocery stores. We set up, we get permission from the owner of the establishment, and we set up shop there. We're not campaigning, we're engaging, providing information, taking in information as well. We were just at Morris Barbershop this past Saturday. So this is what we do. Engagement is important, but again, it doesn't mean that we're always going to agree. But it opens the door. So I invite any of you who are here today for that particular reason, absolutely call. We set up something, have a meeting. It's not the only way we engage. Look forward to having that conversation.
Okay, we appreciate you. Like I said, we just want to ensure that we make a connection. And like I said, if we can assist you in any way, I know it probably sounds a little bit more to you like we're trying to put pressure on you. and in the way we are.
That's fine.
But at the same time, we want you to know that we're here to support the work that you're doing as long as you're working for working families here in the city of Detroit. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. And the thing I also ask for those who do have these particular issues, understand that it's more than just that issue that you're talking about that's on the table that needs to be addressed. There's a whole lot of things that have to be addressed, and it's not just this one area. As important as that is, we're trying to figure out right now, and I've been working with Sasha Center and Kalima Johnson, how do we deal with this toxic masculinity that we have in our community? That's huge. We're not talking about it, but that may not be something that's on the forefront of somebody's mind. But when you start looking at how it's affecting our communities, you see exactly the damage that it does. So we can't just be singularly focused on a particular issue, and that's for anybody in here. Whether we're talking about what's happening in our neighborhood or just in our family, that's on the table. We got to deal with it. But we also have to do what we can to try to play a role in each and every one of those issues that we can, or at least try to figure out what our place is within that conversation. I think we got a question over here. I think you had a follow-up.
Is there any chance you have extra copies of that literature for anybody who might be interested?
That was easy. Hit the easy button. Good morning.
Good morning. First of all, thank you to you and all of your team for all of the hard work that you're doing. My mother-in-law, before she passed, used to say all the time, you can January and February, you can march your way through. So I'm already thinking about spring and what it's going to be like in the spring. So this is a simple question. Motor City Makeover, is that going to happen this year? When is it going to happen? And I got to follow up another question unrelated to that.
So I believe that's our annual event, our annual cleanup. I know at one point we were talking about having Motor City Makeover 365, and we got Latrice McClendon, who is the district manager. Latrice, if you don't mind coming through. She is, give her a round of applause too. She does a tremendous job. She is the district manager for District 1. She is the part of the executive branch, so she works under the mayor's office, and the mayor placed these district managers in position in each district, and also a deputy district manager, in order for them to have the eyes and ears in the community. But that is an executive function, and I don't want to overstep my bounds, and I'll give Latrice an opportunity to respond to that question.
So, hey Keith, yes, good morning, or afternoon. So yes, we are having Motor City Makeover. For District 1, it's going to be the first Saturday in May. We are still getting those details together. As far as getting out to the community groups, we're doing inventory of what we have now, ordering supplies, and just gearing up for that. So we will be having Motor City Makeover. And to Councilman Tate's point, we do have Motor City Makeover 365. So even though we take that, first weekend to do a huge overhaul, we believe in doing it every day, right? We should take pride in cleaning up our neighborhoods and doing things. So if you guys ever need any support, as far as maybe assistance in getting volunteers for any projects in your neighborhoods, or you have questions about cleanups, or you just need support in general on how to start, how to get people together, I can assist you with that. And so let me give you my phone number real quick while I'm up here. It is 313-236-3484. I also have a deputy. Her name is Kaya Roberson. She's also a good person to contact if you cannot get me, but we both work very closely with the Motor City Makeover, and we're really excited about it. We've already found over 4,000. We found an organization that wants to bring in 4,000 volunteers to District 1, and so we would love to work with the community groups to get them out in your neighborhood, whether it's working on your alleys, or maybe there's a dump site somewhere you feel like a city's too slow in getting that picked up. We can help by bringing those volunteers out to support that. My number is 313-236-3484. And text is great. Phone calls are great. Like in a meeting right now, people are calling. So, what can you do? But if you text me or you leave me a message, I'll try to get back with you or have my deputy get back with you. My name is Latrice McClendon, Latrice. Last name is McClendon, MC, capital C, LENDON. And that phone number is 313-236-3484. All right. Is that it for today or what? I'm over there?
I don't know. This is a big crowd today. You might want to stick around. We appreciate you. Give it up again, Latrice McClendon, y'all.
And just to follow up on that, last year when we were cleaning out our alley, be dragging the 4x4s and the trash and all of that stuff out of our alley. So we want to say appreciation, thanks of appreciation to Latrice McClendon. The second question was just in general about this announcement that was made by the city. I can't recall the time frame, but it had to do with the different districts, this being Grand River Northwest, I think was the term that was used, and the businesses, or a allocation of some $5 million coming into the neighborhood. Any updates that we have on that? When is the planning going to start for that? What is it going to impact in terms of the neighborhoods?
So we're right now in the planning stages. That was the big announcement. The money was pulled together from the different banks. You're talking about I think the enterprise zones, I believe that's the terminology. The opportunity zones, that's it. So the dollars have been pulled together, but there have not been any community meetings, to my knowledge, certainly over here in District 1. And we have 2 locations in District 1 that's going to be affected by it, or I don't want to use the word affected by it, but we'll have dollars that will be allocated towards 2 locations. And so there have not been any meetings specifically about that. We are waiting for that information. Once again, that's an executive function, and we are brought in and made aware of it, but it has been expressed and it's clearly known that none of those moves will be had unless there's a community involvement first.
Hi. So I organize with BYQ 100, and we are specifically concerned with safety in the city. And right now, our focus is on Project Greenlight. We don't believe that hyper-surveillance and increased police presence in our communities equals more safety.
What's your name?
Raven. So my question now is with the proposed expansion of Project Greenlight into all businesses that are open this after 10 o'clock with late night hours. We're just wondering, how can we justify spending more money on hyper-surveillance when we have so many other needs, like our schools could use that money, and they're talking about implementing Project Greenlight in schools, and in public housing, even in all these other businesses. There's just so many other needs that need to be addressed, and we don't think that this is going to lead to more safety anyway, so we were just wondering what your stance was.
So that's been proposed for a number of years. Remember, Andre Spivey is the individual that's a sponsor. That has not come before council officially across our table. One, you have to look at the constitutionality of it. Can we mandate these businesses to do that? And that's something that's being worked out. And again, it's been talked about since good 3-4 years, and it's been working its way through. So they haven't given us a response to that. The reason I asked that question, someone sent me a letter this week. That was it. So, and again, I called. I didn't leave a phone number. I had to go and research and try to use all my old news skills when I worked at Channel 7, and found the phone number for the young lady, but I never got a call back because I'd rather have a conversation. I'm not going to sit and write a letter and then snail mail it back. But as far as I'm concerned, that's a conversation that we definitely have to have in the community, because you have a lot of folks who do support Project Greenlight. A lot of people who support it. And those who, I can't tell you that there's empirical data that says it increases the incarceration rate for individuals who are not committing crimes. Can't tell you that. But what I can say is that it has not come before us officially across the table. That is a concern. That is a question, and now it's a concern that I've gotten from at least that one letter that I received, and now I'm hearing it from you. That's a community conversation that we have to have, because once again, we can look across the room, and let's do a poll right now. Those of you who are in support of, and I'm not leaning this way or that way, those who are in support of the concept of Project Greenlight, raise your hand. Okay. Those who are not, raise your hand. Okay, so that's a conversation that's not made just by me. It's one that has to be brought back to the community and having that conversation like any other piece of legislation. That's not one that I'm sponsoring.
And we are having those conversations through our organization with different community members and our coalition of other organizations that don't believe that Project Greenlight would be beneficial or bring any more safety to the community. So we would definitely, have a conversation with you if you would like to.
So what I would also do is, instead of just me, also look at the Board of Police Commissioners. I don't know if you've had any conversation with them. What district do you live in?
I don't live in Detroit. I'm just a representative from the organization today.
Okay, so each district has a Board of Police Commissioner. The Board of Police Commissioner, their issues dealing with the police department travels to them. They're the oversight, the immediate oversight. So they're from your organization. If you believe that it is creating a pipeline to prison, so to speak, I think that's where you might want to start as well, having a conversation with the Board of Police Commissioners. Some of them are appointed by the mayor, but there are 7 of them that are elected by the people who are in the district that they represent. So I would also meet with them. And they meet every Thursday. Aaron has that information. Give us information. When they meet?
All right. All right. Because you put me on the spot, I'll give you the direct contact person for your Board of Police Commissioner representative for District 1, and that's Daryl Brown. Telephone number 313-316-2493. The community relations meeting you're referencing to are both the 2nd, 6th, and 8th. The 8th precinct, and again you have the flyer right here, meets the last Monday of the month at 7 p.m. over at the 8th precinct. For the 6th precinct, it's over at Peter and Paul Catholic Church. That's every last Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. And then for the small portion of the 2nd precinct we have, that meets at 6 p.m. every 2nd Tuesday over on the shore near Grand River. Okay? So here.
So those are the community relations meetings essentially with the community. But the Board of Police Commissioners meet down at the headquarters 3 p.m. every Thursday. Now, for some folks, they don't.
3rd Street.
Where's that one time?
1301
3rd Street.
At the police safety headquarters.
Yeah. So that's every Thursday. But every one time out of the month, and I believe that's the 3rd. It's the 2nd. The 2nd Thursday, they actually meet in the community in one of the districts. So that's very, very information that your organization would need to know as well. No worries. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As I mentioned, my name is Denzel McCampbell. I just wanted to, if I could be able to share information with folks. I am part of BYP 100, and just so folks know, it's Black Youth Project 100. We are made up of members inside Detroit and outside of the city. But really have a passion for the city of Detroit. Definitely echoing what Brady said. That's my resident hat. I'll take that off. I live in District 7, but wanted to come here.
So if I may, so I mean that's an issue. Let's kind of do a pause there. So we got 2 people that said that they believe it. Why do you believe that? Informational wise.
So again, this is my personal.
Right, you're taking off your. I got it.
As we're looking at crime, as we're traditionally thinking about crime, and as we're thinking about lack of opportunity in the city, right? So as we're thinking about the millions that will go into, if that was to be expanded, I know it's not in front of the.
But there's no dollars that are being talked about going into it. It's now requiring the businesses to actually put up the money to do it.
Right. So I hear you on that, but I'm saying if there was some component to government to mandate it, essentially government would have to put up some funding for that. You wouldn't be able to have businesses mandate that with a government function. So
that's why it's taking so long.
Right, exactly. So I'm just saying, and also I know there has been some money allocated for a pilot program or something around that. So when we're thinking about that money, what we're thinking about is that money could be going to things to actually uplift opportunity for folks. That will minimize crime that's happening in the city. So for example, mental health facilities, right? We're thinking about adult and youth education programs that are happening after school and inside the community, inside community centers. Community centers, for example, for communities like that. So just looking at the conversation of like, is hyper-surveillance the answer? Or can we look at the proactive things to prevent crime from happening in the first place instead of watching for crime to happen? So that's what we're looking at, and then responding to it in a reactive way.
So why does it have to be always an either or?
It's not an either or, but what the thing is that in the city, what we've seen is traditionally to say, let's react to it, and not actually let's confront. So what we're saying is actually let's be proactive about it and explore those programs before we continue to explore programs that would just be reactive.
Thank you.
So thank you.
About to put the other hat on?
Putting the other hat on. So as I mentioned, I do serve as the communication director for Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib for the 13th Congressional District. We are getting things up and running, but I wanted to share some information with folks. I'll come by next time with some printed sheets for folks to have. But we will be opening 4 district service centers across the 13th Congressional District. We'll have our main one in the city of Detroit. Right now, it's looking around as it's going to be around the North End area. That's not confirmed yet, so don't quote me on that. I'll come back with all the information. We'll also have an East Side Detroit location. We'll have at least one location in Western Wayne County, and we have one up and running right now in River Rouge at the River Rouge City Hall. I wanted to come by and invite folks out to that open house for the River Rouge City Hall Service Center next Thursday. I'm still in this week. Wow. Next Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. You can learn more about the service centers. For folks who are thinking about what is the service center, anything that you need help on with the federal government, agencies, utilities, tax prep help, you're having problems with Social Security, you're having problems with VA benefits, anything like that, we're here to provide the assistance for you. We'll make the calls that are necessary so you don't have to go through all those phone calls, all those folks. So that's what the service center will have. We'll invite community groups in to have, whether it's tax prep, whether it's the tax assessment help, anything like that, we're going to be a partner in that. So wanted to invite folks out to that. I can also give folks the phone number, the local phone number for us. That number is 313-203-7540. And then our email address is just Rashida, RASIDA @mail.house.gov. So any issues that
Can you do it one more time? I saw some folks right now.
Rashida, RASHIDA @mail.house.gov, GOV.
And the phone number?
And the phone number is 313-203-7540.
What's the address of where you're having your organization?
Yep, so that address is 10600 West Jefferson in River Rouge. And we'll have similar these events as the other service centers open as well. So I'll be sure to bring that back to folks.
Any questions or concerns, issues you want to take back to the Congresswoman? You have a representative here. I always say, never miss that opportunity.
And I'll take it directly to her.
All right, well, you're always welcome here. We do this again every first and third Friday.
Thank you.
And we'd love to even have the Congresswoman if she's
for sure.
on recess at some time and able to come down, or either at the 4th Saturday meeting that we have, the District 1 monthly meeting, where we have a presentation and she have an opportunity to provide all of what she's planning to do. So we would love to have her there too.
And then folks, neighborhood associations and block clubs, if you want us to attend or the councilwoman to attend, also let me know as well. I'll definitely take it up on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. My name is Amanda Johnson. I'm working at the Center for Urban Studies on intimate partner violence. So what we are trying to do, the particular area of work that I'm doing is prevention and awareness. We want to try to engage families before things are escalated to where there's a police response required. This is a really pivotal time in having conversations about intimate partner violence because of toxic masculinity, but even more than that, the big challenge is women don't want to report, and they really have a particular concern right now. I'll give you an example. I have 5 daughters. And when they leave the house, I say, have a good day, take care. But when my 6'4" son-in-law leaves the house, I read this whole list of instructions. You know, you have to really be humble because your size, people will be intimidated by that just because they see you. If you ever get pulled over, and I give him this long list, and I'm sure that some of you can empathize with me doing that with my son-in-law. Women have a a legitimate reason to not report today because they don't know if a police officer comes to their house, if that person doing harm is going to be alive when they leave, just because of how our men have kind of been under siege. And it seemed that, and this has always been the case, but I think what's brought it more to light recently is social media. African American men, I don't know, this is just my personal opinion, have not necessarily ever been completely safe or free in this country. That's another conversation, but it does have an impact on the area of intimate partner violence. Because now there's additional reason why people don't want to report. So we're having a very challenging time starting conversations, trying to build a community grassroots groundswell of prevention and awareness. So if any of you are interested in helping us begin to try to promote prevention in this area and awareness, I would really like to hear from you. I mentioned to Daniela, maybe we could present in March at the District 1 meeting, or whenever it's convenient for you. Thank you.
So is there a call to action? Is there something that you got a group of folks here in the room?
Yes, the call is we're really trying to have these conversations. There are two areas in particular where I've been trying to engage people and start conversations, but definitely any space that you feel you can get community residents to that we can talk to, I'd be grateful to go. But the two areas that I've really been focusing on are early childhood, because that work that I've done prior to this project has been in the area of early childhood, engaging and assisting families with children 0 to 8. And we had a groundswell of situations in Head Starts, in locations where parents are showing up and having some issues. The other area is the church. Because as a community, our first line of defense, and where we've traditionally always gone for help, is to the local church. So I really want to engage those spaces, but if you have a space, if you have a group, if you have an organization that you feel would be open to having conversations, I would really like to talk with you. And in addition to doing awareness and prevention, we're also able to do training. Right now we're getting ready to do training with security guards at Sinai Grace Hospital, because that's another point of controversy where victims show up consistently, because they've been in there.
I thought I saw a hand over here. Was it satisfied?
I was just, first of all, I'm just overwhelmed. What's up, Brad? What's up, First of all, I just want to say I'm overwhelmed and impressed and just humbled, and thank you for the work that you're doing. I work with a group of young men and women down at the Bow YMCA on Saturdays. We run a youth baseball program. But we don't just look at it as a sports program. A lot of times, I heard you talk about toxic masculinity. A lot of that comes from that culture of sports and competition and being an alpha male and alpha dog. And I think it's imperative that we teach and train our young men at the earliest stages on how to be men, on how to be protectors and not predators, and how to deal with kind of some of these overlapping influences, like we talk about the issue with the police and how that affects their psychology. And then once they bring that back to the home, how that affects the home, and how do we unpack that in a way that's healthy, that allows the young men and women to be whole, to be safe, and to be able to communicate and resolve conflicts without violence. So if there's any connection that can be made and an opportunity for you guys to come and speak to our group, I would definitely be thrilled to see that happen. Thank you.
Beautiful. That's why we have the meeting. I think we have one over there. Aaron, question over there. Follow up. Ain't easy, is it?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rhonda Cheatham, and I am one of the directors at Crunk Boxing. And to the young lady who just spoke, I didn't quite get your name because I had to stand out. But I would be more than happy to connect with you after the meeting. One reason why I'm addressing this is not my event. This is not my event, but it is an event that's coming up tomorrow, and they didn't have any flyers ready. But A lot of you have been hearing about these young men that are being exonerated from prison. Well, we have 300 black African-American men that were exonerated in their business league. And they're having a Black History program tomorrow at the Cronk Boxing Community Center at 9520 Metatar. And I would love to connect with you because this is something that we just talked about yesterday. Our latest one was Aaron Salter. A lot of you saw that on Channel 2. He'll be there as well. But we had just spoken yesterday on how these young men and their their foundation is they're spiritually led, and that's the awesome thing about it. And they were just saying, we want to give back to our community, but we need the resources, we need the connections. And I told him, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to talk to Councilman Tate because he's the man around here. I mean, even though that's not his district. Council Tate, I can remember, and I'm going to make this short, and he probably don't remember. I can remember when he was a police officer and my cousin was murdered and Dennis Archer was in office, and he came to my house with Detective Rice. And Dennis Archer said, I want this young man who killed Officer Parham, I want him to be identified quickly. They came to my house. They were so compassionate about what they were doing. And so I'll never forget, and that was in 1994. I will never forget that to this day. But not trying to get off the subject, we need to support these young men. It's tomorrow at 3 o'clock, Cronk Boxing Community Center between Metatar and St. Mary's. There'll be 300 black men. There'll be 5 judges there. There'll be entrepreneurs there. There'll be CEOs there that these guys are partnering with. So if you guys can make it, clear your schedule, please come through, and we will have the gym open for people to exhibit, the professional boxers, Mr. Emmanuel Stewart's events. We will be selling shirts and whatever have not. So if you can make it, I would love to see you.
Thank you. I think we had a follow-up, an additional follow-up as well.
Is there another follow-up over here?
No. Latrice?
I'm sorry. I have a meeting that was unplanned that I just got called into, but I was leaving it out the door and I ran into Randy Schumann, our District 1 inspector, and I just want to make sure you guys all know who he is, and that you guys...
What type of inspector?
He's our... Well, Leah, let me clarify. I'm going to let him talk.
I moved.
So a lot of times I get calls about maybe blighted properties on your block, in your neighborhood, commercial properties that may be blighted, and you guys want to know what we can do about it and who you can talk to. And so I'm your first defense for that, but I want Randy to maybe just take a couple minutes before I sneak out and just give his email address, and you also can reach out to him. You'll see his name and all information on our website, but he'll tell you a little bit about what he does, but he's very valuable to our team and making sure that people who are not taking care of their properties are getting ticketed, and that we're going through the right process or even warned at that. So he doesn't like the spotlight, but we're going to give it to him today. And thank you for, my deputy will be here to answer any additional questions shortly, but Randy's going to take it from here.
Appreciate this.
And I won't sing. So, my job is I work for the buildings department called BC, the Building Safety Engineering and Environmental Department. And we're the people that send the inspectors out to deal with complaints about landlords maybe not taking care of their property. We address those issues relative to the tenants inside. They're calling us and saying, I don't have any heat. And also, there's so many other things that happen that our department deals with, because we, by charter, are the ones that have to go out and investigate and see what's wrong. So if there's something on the avenue, any of the commercial streets where something's not quite right in the constituency who lives around there, they're offended by the way maybe somebody's taking care of the property, maybe the outside, the exterior of it is lacking some maintenance. Those are the issues that we have to address. So we do that in a timely manner. We'll send a notice. Besides communicating or talking to the property owner, letting them know where they're maybe falling a little bit short of doing what they're required by city ordinance to do, and then give them time, give them some opportunity to make corrections, and then they call us back. And that's a whole process. You know, we issue a certificate of compliance, and that is that document that the city presents to the property owner that says the building is habitable, that it's okay, it's being maintained properly. So that is kind of what we do. There's 7 of us, district inspectors, and we've been doing this since Mayor Duggan has been in office. And it's been a real pleasure because we meet a lot of the nice people just like yourselves that are very concerned about their neighborhoods and want to express to us some of those issues so that we can address them and get them taken care of. So now Latrice mentioned email address. In very honest terms, what would be best for you to do is if you have a concern or an issue to contact her deputy, Kaya. Okay, and then what Kaya will do, because sometimes the things don't literally fall right into my lap. If there are issues that are related to sidewalks, that's another city agency, and she can direct it accordingly. Maybe you have some issues that deal with forestry and the General Services Department. She can direct that again to the most expeditious form of service so that it can be addressed right away. But send your concerns via email, or if you call her, just give her a call, and then if it pertains to my area of expertise, she'll make sure that I get the information. And very typically, what I would get is an email. I just got one the other day that was along McNichols and a side street. A masonry wall fell onto a public sidewalk, and although I didn't deal with it very specifically, I spoke to a colleague of mine who's servicing that area on commercial properties, and he went there immediately, like within a couple of hours, made phone calls, talked to the owner, gave him a specific amount of time in which to address it. So that's the kind of issue that we tend to get.
So let me ask you a question. So we're just laying out structural issues, exterior issues in many situations. We've had some concerns and complaints in this meeting about the general upkeep of a particular business. It may just be dirty. Have stuff lined up in the aisleways, which doesn't allow the customers to get around it. Who should they call if they have that kind of complaint?
Yeah, so if it's rental property, we deal with that 100%, every single little aspect, whether it's cleanliness, rodent infestation, overgrowth of weeds in the backyard, dead trees, just anything.
What about a business, though?
Same thing. Okay. Businesses have to have certain annual certificates. Where it gets a little touchy is when we get a complaint and it's an owner-occupied dwelling, because now I'm knocking at your door. It's your castle, but yet you may be falling a little short of understanding or being able to address all of those weeds that are growing in the fence line that are now 3 inches in diameter and are 15 feet tall, and make it look like it's a set or a scene from Jumanji and it's an overgrown jungle. But I love you, and I want to try to get you to understand, as an owner of that dwelling, you have a responsibility to your neighbors, to the community, to the city at large, to help do your part to encourage, peace and harmony, have more people come into our city and reside and develop and buy houses and fix them up and all that. So we deal with everybody. We deal with the landlords, tenants. We deal with the owners of their castles. And the last group is probably the hardest. And last year I had a ton of fence issues, improperly installed fencing. And that's probably one of the hardest, because we don't really regulate it in the areas like its placement. We regulate its height and whether you can see through it, whether it's obstructing public right-of-way as you're walking down sidewalks or backing down your driveway. So sometimes the issues that we have with regards to fence concerns we can deal with them. But sometimes it's a civil matter, and you have to hire a survey and work it out between you and your neighbors. So I hope that answers your question. It was a little broad.
It kind of touched. So we have one of the complaints we've had were about some of the dollar stores, how just the general upkeep inside of the facility. And I know they have to go through certificate of compliance as well.
Right.
We've tried situations where we've called the general or the regional director and all the managers, and just hasn't gotten the results that we wanted to see. Who from the city or from the state would be the appropriate entity to call? And it's not just the dollar store. You can talk about the party store. You can talk about fill in the blank store.
I'll never forget the first time I rode up a party store where the glass had broken in the cooler and you couldn't see the products behind it. And then when I did see the product, the milk was expired. And then there was a container that had fallen onto the floor and it was sour smelling. So, do we write it up? Yeah, we're there primarily so that people coming into a retail store that they're walking into a safe environment, that the egress doors and the pathways to get out in case of an emergency, that they're not obstructed, that exit lighting and such is properly illuminated. But as far as cleanliness, I can remember a Family Dollar on Michigan Avenue that I had trouble with for several years. And the building is, in a lot of these franchise places, the buildings are owned by entities, corporations out of state. So now we're talking to people in Colorado or whatever, letting them know what building ordinances and codes are all about. And that you almost have to get into a little bit of a psychological warfare with them, because if you can coerce them into taking care of the maintenance and the cleanliness of their building, that's only going to mean more business and business people and landlords that are all about making money. So, sometimes I feel like a pastor and a psychologist, but that's part of the job. So, send it our way. We'll address it.
She'll be here shortly. Once she arrives, we'll make sure Kai has information. I think we have a follow-up question for you.
Question to you. I have a neighbor who has a vehicle in their driveway, and they've had the vehicle in their driveway for quite some while, over 3 years, and rodents and raccoons are starting to breed, and they're coming onto my property and tearing up and chewing through. What can I do? I have asked them to remove that car.
Actually, it's on the books. There's an ordinance that prohibits the storage of inoperable, unlicensed vehicles.
Okay.
We're not telling you as an owner of a vehicle that you can't have it, but it's got to be contained in a garage or a shed, something that prohibits that.
That was a really good answer. We want to make sure everyone else hears that. So I was going to hand you that microphone.
Oh, okay. So, in regards to inoperable vehicles, unlicensed, not drivable, not insured, not tagged, that's a code violation. So there's a section there in the property maintenance code, and we have our inspectors trained to write that. There's also aspects that we go through all the time. I don't know why am I too close? Oh, you had to talk in a higher pitched voice. So anyway, commercial vehicles are prohibited in residential neighborhoods. So when we're dealing with landscapers and all these commercial vehicles, I've had to deal with people that own tow truck companies, and they're bringing their vehicles home and parking them on the streets and all that. Now, on the streets, that gets out of my area. That's more of the police department's concern. But once they start pulling them in the driveway and all, that's something that we write. It's tough,
We'll make sure that Kaya's information is available as well for anyone who has any of those kind of concerns and questions. We appreciate you, Inspector, as always. Give another round of applause, please.
Follow-up question?
Quick question. Mortensen's Grand River subdivision, we're west of Telegraph.
Yes.
It's great. So it's been the I subdivision for many years in the city of Detroit since it was renamed back in the day when it was a neighborhood watch type of situation where we had to remember all the I's on the streets. That was what it was named. The city still has it on the directory through the neighborhoods.org and many other websites as the I. Is there any way to get all that stuff changed?
So, from what I understand, your organization is still trying to figure out exactly if the current name is going to be the name.
We want to keep it the name. The reason we were considering not having that name is we didn't think we could get the change done. We've been working as Mortensen's Grand River for 3 years, and you mentioned earlier the 80+ neighborhood association. So it was 5 years ago. It was only 65. So you guys have done a remarkable job. Got 20 new plus organizations, and part of that is if you go into the neighborhood.org, I mean, I'm sure the trees wouldn't like to hear it. There's still a little bit old data in there, but we've got fabulous associations, Grandmont, Rosedale, ones that are recognizable to non-Detroiters, let's say, and we like to have that same brand of subdivision and to create that community of similar stature or neighborhood. We feel that that's really important to us. I'm only here representing Lisa, who's our president, who has been all about this for many years.
Yes.
But I'm here to speak on her behalf. So anything you can do to help that, we feel we have the organization, we have the name. We're just looking for some.
So have you all talked to Latrice about this issue?
Yes.
Because the executive branch is the one who operates the website itself.
I know she had to go, but we've mentioned it. Again, I figured if I could mention it to you, you could push it along. And the second piece...
So I will. So the only reason I ask that question is I always like to make sure that the folks who deal with it first are having the first bite of the apple. We'll definitely address it and see what we can do to change it. You guys should be able to call yourself whatever you want to call yourself.
No, we appreciate it. We commissioned Chaz here from the Village to do our signage, and we're trying to put signs up on the corners of Grand River and Nichols and Telegraph and such. So we really want to try and brand it with support, any support, just on a name piece would be helpful. Secondly, to help along with that part, we'd invite everybody, yourself included, and we put flyers in the front for our spring fling. It's going to be May 11th. It's the weekend after Motor City Makeover, so we can show our neighborhood the best it'll look. We'll clean up when we're done. And anyone's invited, any other groups that can lend support, any other communities that have done this before. This is what we missed last year. We've done the prior 2 years, so we can't call it an annual, but it's somewhat annual. And we hope everyone will show up. Thank you.
It's on our list, Aaron. Reggie, make sure you get some.
Hello. So I have 3 things, and I'll try to keep it quick. There's a Greenway project coming to Old Redford here. So there's money in the Strategic Neighborhood Funds. It's $1 million. There's a bid out from the city right now. It'll close on the 19th, so real soon, to pick a designer. And then there'll be 4 public meetings and a selection of a steering committee. So if, hey, what's a Greenway? Is a question you have, or if you want to get involved in that, come talk to me afterwards, and I can give you all the details. But the main thing is that it's money to improve the walkability of this neighborhood, and beyond that, there's a huge amount of flexibility about what that could mean. It could be landscaping, it could be lighting, it could be sidewalks, it could be areas to sit, it could be parks, it could be, whatever. We've got about $1 million, and you can do a lot with $1 million. So that's the first one. The second is that there's a bunch of us working to get together a community development corporation, which is about bringing money into the neighborhood where development is actually guided by residents rather than private developers or from people outside of the neighborhood or the city. So we'll be forming a steering committee in a couple of weeks. If affordable housing or general development in this neighborhood is something that's interesting to you in the Old Redford area specifically, again, come talk to me afterwards. I'd love to give you all the details. And then the last thing is that there's going to be a meeting at Northwest Activity Center, Kroll, on the 21st at 6 p.m. to talk about potential grant funds to do something with the park at Clarita and Stout here. If you're ever driven by, it's just like a bunch of trees in a field right now, but there's a possibility of getting some grant money and turning that into something a little bit more substantive. So again, February 21st, 6 p.m., Kroll.
Right over there on
Real close. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Feels like there's a lot of good energy in the room. Once again, Naeem Edwards, Michigan State University Extension. Hey, Councilman. Is there anyone in here interested in transforming vacant land in their neighborhood? Or anywhere in the city, actually? Okay, cool. Yeah. So I specifically wanted to express a concern that I've heard from local folks. There's currently a land-based projects process going on. The city is reorienting how to streamline permitting, purchasing, and designing or site plans for activating vacant land, specifically for urban gardening, ornamental gardening, beautification, and other uses. So essentially the city has hired some consultants from, to my understanding, New York, New Orleans, and some local Detroit folks who are working with planning and development and other city departments to increase the process to be able to do that. Unfortunately, that group is made predominantly of people not born from Detroit, not from Detroit, and also not black, which is representative of the majority tax-paying population, and the tax-paying dollars are now paying this group of people to be the head of that. There are opportunities for local folks to inform that, but usually you have to go to a meeting somewhere once. So the concern is people who think that the grassroots and local organizations and people who have been reusing land, allocating land, and creating useful benefits for it locally should be more involved in that process, and the city should have maybe paid them six-figure amounts of money to help inform that process rather than folks from other places. But on March 14th, there's going to be two meetings, one in the morning at 9 a.m., one in the evening at 6 p.m. at the MSU Detroit Center. And I can give the address for that. It's 3408 Woodward Avenue. Also, it could be easier for tech folks if you just look up Land-Based Projects Detroit and Google that or whatever search engine you use. The top three links will probably give you the information you need for that. So essentially, there's a lot of land in the land bank, one of the most abundant land banks in the country, and the land bank is right now.
The only city that actually has a land bank, essentially.
Okay, yeah. Most of them are county.
Most of them are. Yeah, that's what we're working on. So we'll talk about that in a minute. If you have a question.
Yeah. So the tens of thousands of land that they have been hoarding and accumulating over the years, they are now creating a process to expedite or make it more efficient for folks to access that land. So if you want to be one of those folks, you can get involved in the process or at least be aware of how to say, hey, land bank, I want this lot, I want it for an affordable price or a cheap price or potentially for free, and this is how I'm going to do it. So Land-Based Projects Detroit, and that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I was saying, we appreciate it. I was saying about the land bank and saying there's no oversight. So they do have a board, and the board is comprised of individuals that are appointed by the mayor and one from the city council. The city council appointee, I'll tell you, I was not very pleased with providing city council with information. That individual resigned in November. So we, as city council, has not had any eyes and ears technically in the room. I put forward a name of an individual, and they're going to be going through the vetting process and coming before Internal Operations Committee soon. Don't know exactly when, but soon. But the other piece, the reason I was saying that the city of Detroit is the only local municipality that has a land bank is because to make the delineation, it's typically a county land bank in the city of Detroit. Not saying it's good or bad, but just wanted to make sure that people understood that issue. And part of the reason why we have all these properties is because of the tax assessment that was illegally done and overinflated. We had banks who were lending to people who couldn't pay. I mean, it's just a monster of issues. So it left the city in this condition. So now the question is, what do you do with that land? You can't just let it sit there. People say, well, just give it to anybody. You can't just do that either, because anybody come here and do whatever they want to do with it. Some folks say, just give it to poor people because they need the land. Well, that's not the answer either. So it's a complicated answer in how you get there. I'm not against the land bank. Land bank actually came to the city council in the committee that I'm sorry? Somebody said something? Oh, I said.
You was on the phone though.
Okay, I'm not against them. It'll be all on tape. Like I keep saying, it's all recorded. So I'm not against the land bank. There are some things that they have to do differently. They came to our committee yesterday. I'm the chair of the Planning and Economic Development Standing Committee, and they came looking to extend their MOU with the city of Detroit to 2023, when their agreement doesn't end until 2020. So with all that's going on with the land bank, all the questions, and again, they're investigations. Investigations have to be investigated. But this is not the right time to be asking for an extension. It doesn't make sense. So it wasn't denied. We pushed it back. I told them flat out, right there at the table, again, it's on tape. I told them that right now is not the time to be asking for an extension. We've got to deal with the issues that are currently on the table. But that agreement does exist through 2020. But there are investigations that are going on, and investigations that are well above our pay grade dealing with the federal government. And we'll see how that goes. I think we had
Additional questions?
Okay, right here.
So again, I'll be quick. I guess I am actually against the land bank, just to take that position. I think a really great replacement for the land bank would be community land trusts. There's a real opportunity to do something unique in Detroit. No major city's ever owned this much of its own residential property, and something that would defend us against things like illegal tax foreclosure and predatory loans is a structure like a community land trust.
This lady right here.
So what I will say is I am not as familiar with and again, I tell you, I don't have all the answers and I don't have all the information. Doug, I would be willing to sit down and talk to you about the community land trust.
We would like to speak to you too, because we work on that too. Okay, this is basically for Detroit Action Commonwealth. I want to let you guys know that any felons in your area, any felons that is considered homeless. Homeless means you're not on the lease, you're not on the mortgage. We have lawyers that come out to 1264 Meldrum, February the 28th, 8 a.m. Anyone is welcome. They're the Boxford firm. They come out and they help you. They talk to you about any business, any paperwork. If you can prove what you're doing, they talk to you. They also run a court out of the soup kitchen. Our court date is February 28th at 2 p.m. that day. Judge Adrian Johnson is presiding that day. We give people their license back. We take away back tax, a lot of stuff. But we work on felonies. So those are those 2 dates. Take that hat off, put on my other hat. Good jobs now. We have our housing meeting February the 19th from 6 to 7. We discuss things like that we're talking about, the housing thing, predatory lending, all that other stuff. And we get our teams together to go out and battle that. So that's February the 19th from 6 to 7. Last but not least, February 28th, because February 28th is busy, boy. From 6 to 8, we have our new membership meeting. You need to come out. We celebrate, we congregate, we break bread, and we talk what's going on in all the neighborhoods in Wayne County, because we foot work across Michigan, okay? So thank you. Which one? First is Detroit Action Commonwealth. And the second one is my sister company, Good Jobs Now. Okay? If you need the address, did you need the second address for Good Jobs Now? 2400 East McNichols. It's at McNichols and Garner. So it's on the east side, not the west side of Woodward, the east side of Woodward. Okay? Okay, so I'll go back. For Good Jobs Now, housing meeting, February the 19th, from 6 to 7. Okay, February the 28th, from 6 to 8, new membership meeting. That's when we break bread, sit down, and really discuss what's going on in districts and across things that's going on across the city and across the, Michigan, okay? And then I talked about that the lawyers would be, this is for DAC, lawyers, February 28th, 8 a.m. And they're sharp. 8 a.m., you sign in, you sit in the meeting, and then you talk to a lawyer. And that day, February 28th, Judge Adrian Johnson is presiding at 2 o'clock, 1264 Meldrum. It's open. We have given back over 500 IDs back in Michigan. That's wonderful. You guys not understanding. We put people back to work, okay? Back being viable citizens. And I am so impressed. So thank you guys. We're going to work together.
Thank you. Ms. Tony Dunbar. You I know I hate to put you on the spot. I hate being put on the spot, but you're getting put on the spot. She's a representative of our state representative, Sherry Gay Danyogo. Come on up. Give her a round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Got a couple words?
So again, like you stated, my name is Tony Dunbar. I'm the community liaison for Representative Sherry Gay Danyogo. As of right now, we're going to start back our coffee hours from March to June. It's going to be the first Fridays. We're going to have it at Always Brewing. Then in August, I believe, we're going to end up having it here the second Friday. These are going to be between the hours of 9 and 10:30 a.m. We're going to have flyers coming out pretty soon. Our office kind of been backed up with a lot of events that we've had. But again, I'm here for any questions that you might have for the representative. And then again, once she starts her coffee hours back up, please feel free to come. She's willing and ready to talk to anyone in regards to concerns that you have in the community. And I'm glad to see a lot of people out here again. And thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Coming your way next.
All right.
So, and as we tell folks, and I'm always excited when I see all these other layers of government show up and levels of government, because you got to know who they are. We are inviting the Charter Commission members to our upcoming District 1 monthly meeting, because people need to know who these folks are. I don't know, how many of you have been in some of the meetings? How many of you watched some of the meetings? No, the Charter Commission meetings. They're a little challenged in terms of the way they operate. And this is not to say that these individuals are challenged. That's up to you to decide. People would say the same about us as city council, so I ain't talking about nobody. But what I'm saying is it is a little bit challenging to get through those meetings because of the yelling and the screaming and some of the stuff that's going on. So I think it's imperative for you to have an opportunity to meet with them and meet them in a non-confrontational way and ask them the questions that you want, because they're the ones that are putting together this proposed charter that's coming our way that may very well change the way that our city looks, operates, maybe in the way that you want it to, and maybe completely the opposite. So it is terribly important for you to know what's going on, where the meetings are taking place, who are the players, whether we're talking about local, we say in the city council, mayor, we're talking about county executive, county commissioners, we're talking about state representatives, state senators, and then we start bouncing up to the federal as well when we look at the Congress individuals, congressmen and women, as well as senators as well. All of these are very important, but you also got to keep an eye out on that third branch of government, the judicial branch. And nobody pays attention to those individuals for the most part until potentially election time. Maybe. And that's what I said, maybe. But they're the ones who actually say yes or no to all of this stuff that we've been talking about if it goes to court. And you need to make sure that there's someone sitting in those seats that are aligned with your views. Some of them are appointed, and there's not much you can do but take out the person who appointed them. But these are folks who on a regular basis are being elected, and we don't know who they are. So we've got to start educating ourselves about the judges as well, not just the people who are in front of you having community meetings, but also those individuals who are kind of shielded, if you will, and are not as necessarily out there until election time. I said it. Any other questions, concerns that we did not have?
Well, actually, it's poignant to what you just addressed.
Yes, ma'am.
I was about to ask you, what is your feeling and what have you heard about the community advisory councils? I know that there was a full election and people were actually voted in.
So in District 7.
In particular in District 7, but I know that according to the city's charter, this was supposed to have been something that modeled for the entire city council throughout citywide. What is your information on that? I've actually been selected to be a member as the senior CAC for that position. And as you know, what you already know, I'm just asking because I'm trying to figure out why would they spend the money for an election? Why would they allow it to go to an fruition of building a body, and then the city council and everybody that supports this whole election process saying that we don't know what happened. We don't know just what happened, y'all. So I'm
not sure that's the case, because the only one that's been established is in District 7. They've gone out and the residents have put in place and have elected their people, and I believe just recently that came across the table, Gabe Leland submitted the youth person as well as the senior. That you're the senior, so it's actually coming across the table. So,
but my point was,
the other communities have decided that that's not what they want to do. I'm not trying to inject myself into a situation
is there any
that
power there, or is it just something that's happening?
Just say, so there are the ability to have these are available in every district, all 7 districts. District 7 said, we want to stand ours up. We want to stand it up. So they went through the process and went through the election. And so now it is legitimately in place. Now, Gabe Leland has submitted the 2 names to the council to ensure and go through the law department and going through their process. So it's actually taking place. As far as in District 1, that's not my job and role to get people involved and engaged in that. That has to be something that the community wants. If they don't want it, I'm not going to force it.
Gotcha. That was the missing link that I didn't understand. So basically, you saying no one vote, the other councils districts didn't even vote to put anybody in position for it. Got you. I thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anyone? Did we miss anyone? Okay, we're going to get Tanisha Johnson, who is the DEL.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
I'm got the camera.
Oh, blocking,
I'm sorry. Out done, everything. I'm starting to see. Look at it. We're going to start something. It's all love.
Y'all done threw me all off. I can't quit playing. I'm the district business liaison, as Councilman Tate stated, for District 1. So I work with the business community on how to access some of the programs that are out here to help their business grow. Some of the resources that are available to them in the small business ecosystem as well as on the city side. So we've got some great opportunities down the pipeline. One thing I do want to bring up is personal property tax exemption. It is available if you are a small business owner and you have a brick and mortar location and you feel that your equipment is valued at less than $80,000. You do not have to have this tax assessed to you. I will be available on Monday, February 18th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Digimax at 18461 West McNichols to work with business owners one-on-one on how they can file and send it directly to the Treasury office. You don't have to go downtown. If you can't meet with me on Monday, I can come to you, or you can go directly downtown to the City County building and file in person. Thank you.
What's your contact information?
I can be reached at 313-460-0775. Call, text, whichever is your pleasure is fine, or email at tjohnson@degc.org.
Thank you very much. Did we miss anyone? Let's do ladies first, if you don't mind.
Going back to the land bank properties, there's a home on our block that's been burnt out and is now owned by the land bank. How do we, because it's an eyesore, as a block club volunteer, how do we do
can go directly to the land bank to see what they're going to do with it. Are they going to tear it down, rebuild it?
So we'll take the information as well. We typically have the community liaison out here. He shows up at times, Rod Liggins and Rodney. I forgot Rodney's last name, but we'll make sure we get that information to them. We'll follow up on it as well. So before you leave, please get with, she was sitting over there, Daniela. She'll get the information from you. We'll follow up and let you know what that outcome is. Last but certainly not least, Coach.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to thank you for your concern for my person of Ella Willis. That's number one. And I don't, let me say, it's very interesting. You have land next to you that's vacant and stuff like that?
Well, no, it's not next to us, but it's a burnt house on our block.
Oh, I see.
And it's owned by them.
Okay, well, you know, I'm a gardener, and I was just, people ought to get together and
The
plant.
structure's still standing.
Oh, structure's still, right? You can't do nothing there then.
Okay, tear it down.
Right. Well, let me go ahead and say this, that I'm concerned also about the light on Vern, and I have called many times. It's between Huntington and Edinburgh that I've called. It comes on for about 3 minutes and then goes off. I have called. I don't know if we can do anything about it or not. But
it's one of the public lighting.
Yeah, right. Public lighting.
That's an easy fix.
That's easy.
Yeah, Jamal. We'll get Jamal out there.
Yeah. I've called many times.
So that it shouldn't happen.
Right. It comes on and then boom. Seems like when I open the door, it goes on.
So you got that electric.
Yeah.
That's why our camera not working today. See, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's so nice to see people interested in their community. You know.
Yes, sir.
And I am the block captain on Huntington and over in Rosedale Park there. And I've always been a captain somewhere, wherever I live. So, you know what? Keep going and talk to your neighbors and try to be helpful as much as possible, all right? Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Before you leave, we're going to make sure Daniela gets your information about that light.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Where?
Raise your hand. I see you. All right, thank you. Thank you for, thank you.
Tell them how old you are.
I'm 90 years old.
Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. He just talking right now. Y'all got to see him in action. You ain't seen nothing. I'm just letting you know. Yeah, so they want to know what's your secret.
No, don't ask me about secrets. I don't want to hurt nobody down here. You know, the secret is love. That's number one. Love for yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you're going south. When you see things going wrong within you, you got to make some changes. Don't just say, oh, I got to do this. It's hard. It's hard. It's not easy. You think it's easy? Just to say, I'm going to do this? It's not easy. I went to the spa. You got to go to the spa. If you don't go to the spa, walk. Walk. My body's beginning to go south for me. I'm learning to work my hands. I'm not going to the doctor. What shall I do? I'm working my hands. I'm squeezing a ball. This finger's going on. Everything's going. But I keep moving. You keep moving. And a lot of things you don't want to do, you've got to do it. Cleaning the house, washing the windows. Hey, taking the dog. I'm telling you, you got to. If you don't do it, you're going south.
They was looking for some big old explanation. There it is.
You got to do it. You got to do it. And pray. Got to pray. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. BC, you got anything you want to say to folks before we wrap it up?
We have an officer that we want to introduce you to. She's not know she came in. Precious.
Mama Carol wanted the microphone too.
Precious and Wesley.
Did they miss you all of them? See Aaron.
Only you. Only position I love you. So.
My name is Carol Jenkins. My concern is I have two houses in my neighborhood. This one particular house is across the street from me. My three neighbors and myself, we've been taking care of this house for over 5 years. we found out that the house was owned by someone else who lives in a totally different area. They have not come one time to cut the grass, the bushes, shovel snow, remove the papers. And right now, we're concerned because there's one tree in the backyard that may fall on my neighbor's house that's next door. We've sent a letter out, and we haven't heard any response yet. They suggested that we contact the tax assessor's office. So we're planning on going down there to see about that. But I just feel like the person who owns the property, we tracked down who the person is, and they have not done one thing to the property. It's been completely abandoned for the past several years, and it's very frustrating to have to be responsible for someone else's property, and you know that they're viable and able to come and take care of their own property. I currently already take care of about 5 houses that are not even my house. So I'm just saying, you know, can we get some assistance with getting this issue resolved?
Yes, ma'am. So what we'll do is get the inspector involved as well.
Okay.
That's right down his alleyway. So then also the district manager and deputy district manager. I don't know if you talked to Latrice and Kaya about this at all.
Not this particular house. When I talked to him before, it was a different house.
Okay, so we're going to walk down that road and see what kind of fruit that gives us. If that doesn't work, we'll have to figure out something else. But that's what we're going to do first. So we'll get that information to Daniela before you leave, please.
All right, thank you.
This is a lightning round, so we're about to. We got something on that's already set up.
I want to know, I have some concerns about the marijuana places, the dispensaries. So if you have any questions about any state-approved dispensaries, do we contact the Detroit Law Department? Because I see on their website, they have information about those that were given a stay and those that were given approval to temporarily operate. And I also noticed that they had a list of some dispensaries that were approved and denied. So there's one in particular on this list that has the word denied next to their name, but they're still operating. So since the law department has this information, is that our contact?
That would be your contact, but I also want to know, because I'm sure it's probably in District 1. Okay, so that, and we're the ones who are working on the ordinance moving forward for any potential recreational, and we're the ones who, as you know, crafted the current legislation that thinned the herd. So yes, also definitely reach out to us as well so we can guide you in that direction. DeAndre, I don't know if you've talked to DeAndre Watson. Yeah, so call us and we'll kind of get that information from you, because I'm interested if it's denied, why it would still be open. And if it's a stay, you know who put those stays in order, right?
No.
Your judge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Right. So that's again what we can't just have, when that issue is over with, we move on and we don't take account of what the judges do. We got to stay on them.
So is this the same judge that keeps
I don't know.
denying this?
I don't know. I don't want to give you bad information.
Okay.
But all I can say is we're going to find out for you.
Because they keep getting temporary, they keep getting extensions in the closing.
Yeah, not sure why. But we'll unpack it for you, though.
All right.
This gentleman, and then we're going to wrap up. We got you.
Yeah, just real quickly, I have a issue. It's a lighting issue. I have a light down on Asbury Park. It's been down probably close to 10 years. I'm getting all kind of excuses. It's a state has to fund it or whatever. I've even been down to the ombudsman's office and got a number. What do I have to do to get this light replaced?
Asbury Park and where?
And between Linden and Acacia.
No, that wouldn't be state, because that's within the neighborhood. That's not even on the state.
But they're saying that who's responsible for funding it. That's one of the excuses I've been getting.
That should be the Public Lighting Authority. So that's information, that one should be, I don't want to say that's an easy fix, because it may be one that they took out of the service, and then just may pick it up and take it away, as opposed to replacing it. So I don't want to say that one is as easy. You may have to do some finagling with that one, but make sure you please get that information to Daniela before you leave, so we'll follow up on that one for you.
Sure. Thanks.
BC, the floor is yours. Y'all give it up for our DPD as well, please.
Good afternoon. I have two things. February the 25th of this month, we will have our 8th Precinct Community Council meeting. I think they'll be nominating our new president, some people that's going to take office. So if you guys can come out, it's going to be at the 8th Precinct at 21555 Westmead Nichols at 7 o'clock. At the precinct, 7 o'clock. 21555. Oh, I'm sorry. It's going to be on the 25th of this month. That's the Monday. We always have our meetings on the last Monday of the month. And also want to introduce you two new NPOs to our team in the 8th Precinct. Come up. Give us your name.
NPO Officer Precious Reed. Been working with the 8th Precinct ever since I started in 2009. And also with the Citywide Park Unit, TSS, True, and now back here in number 8. So I welcome to be working with you all in the community.
Welcome. Now let's give her a round of applause. Right? This girl is gifted, talented, and ready to work. So, when you see her, just talk to her. She's going to fit right in. And next is...
My name is Officer Wesley. I've been with Detroit Police Department for 10 years now. Started out at number 9 for 5. Short time at number 2, and the rest at number 8 with a brief intermission in the recruiting at headquarters. But I'm really looking forward to working in the neighborhoods. I'm really going to enjoy this.
Well, now let me say this about Officer Wesley. Officer Wesley mentioned that he worked the 9th Precinct and the 8th Precinct. For those that know, those are the two busiest precincts in the country. Right? 8th Precinct get the most runs, and 9th Precinct has a lot of problems. And he's worked with both of those, so he's going to be very equipped and ready. So if you see him, bless him, pray for him. Don't assume they can fix everything. That's my job to tell you I can't. But just work with us. We're striving to do better for you guys. Hopefully this year is going to be better. And one last thing, and I don't want to make it a negative, but I'm going to say this because we're positive. We like to strive for positive when it comes to Detroit Police Department. Regardless of the things that you've heard negatively about the Detroit Police Department with certain officers, we have a majority of good ones that outweigh the bad ones. And we're praying to work hard to make sure the bad ones got to go. Because you guys deserve all the best ones. All right? Amen? So, thank you for your time. Outstanding job today.
I appreciate you for all the work you do. And I was wondering who was going to come up here. We got to let the Queen say some words.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Welcome. This establishment.
Welcome, Java. So good to have y'all. Everybody made it out of the vortex, the freeze, the summer day, and then back to a storm this week. Yeah, yes. Well, thank you all for being here. It's going to be an exciting year for us. There's some new development that's coming in this neighborhood, some new businesses, some new neighbors. And so we want to all continue to work together. And always know that Java House is your favorite neighborhood coffee shop. Also, I'm not sure if Tanisha or Latrice, our district captain in this district, but I want to start letting you guys know about the construction that is going to be happening on Grand River from Southfield Freeway to Berg Road. Now, they say it's going to start in April, and then they say it's going to start in June. So I'm just telling y'all to be ready, stay ready, so we don't have to get ready.
Right.
Because whenever they decide to do it, it will cause a couple of hiccups for us. May have to reroute ourselves, start things a little earlier. But just keep that in mind. So just keep, reminding you. Also, I have a lost phone that was at the front desk. Tanisha. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all so much. Have a great day, and we look forward to you all coming back tonight for the jazz night from 6 to 9. Thank you.
And thank you for allowing us to use your space. We appreciate it. Thank you. And Reg, last but not least, will give us the information on the next District 1 monthly meeting that's taking place next Saturday.
Yes. How many people here have been to a District 1 monthly meeting before?
How many people have not? That's how many people I'd like to see extra at the next one. So monthly meetings are a staple every month of the year, fourth Saturday. This year it's going to be on the 23rd of February, and it's going to be at St. Timothy United Methodist Church. That's 15888 Archdale, right at Archdale and Puritan. How many people are familiar with the zoning ordinance, City of Detroit zoning ordinance, or what it means, or what it stands for, or what it's about? Anyone? Anyone? All right, so a zoning ordinance is just a set of laws set up to establish how certain areas of land can be used, whether it's zoned for industrial, whether it's zoned for commercial or residential. There are going to be updates made to the zoning ordinance coming up soon, and the City Planning Commission is convening an organization, Zone Detroit, and that's what their focus is, to make sure that the public gets a chance to speak up on what kind of changes they would like to see. And the city can also let them know what things they plan to put in place to make the zoning ordinance more user-friendly. If you've ever gone online and tried to find out, well, how is this area zoned for, say, for instance, fencing or something like that behind a building, it's really kind of hard to navigate. That's one of the things they want to address, to make it more user-friendly and make it just work better than it has in the past. So we're going to have representatives there from the City Planning Commission to talk to you about that. Make sure you leave informed and you know what's coming down the road. We're also and not just inform, but play a role in what it looks like moving forward, because there's a lot of movement that's going to be made, not just in District 1, but throughout the city of Detroit. That zoning, the zoning classifications change on a regular basis. But this is the first overhaul that we've had in quite some time. So we would love to have you in the room. We ask who's familiar with it. Not many people raise their hand. One, you'll learn about what it is, but then two, how it's going to affect you and your neighborhood and what's being proposed, and three, how you can make amendments to what's being proposed. Also, we're going to, everybody of course is familiar with the new 8th precinct. You're familiar with the building that's adjacent to it, which was the former Redford Library. That building's being repurposed for the 8th precinct to utilize for their own functions as well as community functions. And we want you to come out to hear from Assistant Chief White, who's going to explain to us about what is going to be going on in that facility. So it gives you an opportunity to know what's going on in your community, and you can chime in on what you'd like to see, what you've seen so far, what you like, what you don't like. He's going to let you know when it's going to be open and what's going on with the building overall. So in addition to that, we're also going to have our regular youth spotlight. We have a young lady that is a gymnast. She's 7 years old. She's won a bunch of awards, first place awards. She just came back from a tournament, 5 first place awards. Yeah, so she's really talented, 7 years old, been a gymnast since she was 3. So that's pretty impressive. I fell a couple of weeks ago, hurt my back, and I watched what she did. And I was like, I don't think I'm doing that. So anyway, come out, check her out. It's great. It's great for us the date is the 23rd of February, next Saturday. So it's important because it's important for us to know what our youth are doing. It's also important for them to know us and to see them and encourage them and let them know that, they have support. I mean, we see stories in the papers all the time about young kids who've committed suicide because somebody made fun of them or an impediment they had, or a problem they had, and they couldn't take the stress. So it's really important that when we see someone striving and doing something notable, that we get behind them and let them know that they're seen and that they're respected, they're loved and cared about. It just makes a lot of difference. In addition to that, also we're going to have our regular business spotlight, and this one's going to be, how many people here are familiar with Artesian Farms? Okay, so Artesian Farms grows food hydroponically, which means it's just grown in water. There's no soil involved. It's vertical growing, if I'm correct, if I remember the term correctly. They got 16 to 24. You're giving out secrets. Yeah, so anyway, come in and find out. 10 o'clock, 15888 Archdale. The flyers are up front, or you might have gotten some when you came in. So hopefully we'll see you guys there. So let me just say, so that business used to be located in a vacant warehouse. It was vacant for a number of years. This individual repurposed it, and now you have foods, grain, vegetables, and things that are grown locally right here in District 1 that are now being exported out in many different places, not just here in the city of Detroit, but elsewhere as well. So it's an opportunity for us to kind of puff our chest out in pride. When they say that nothing great happens here in the city of Detroit, we say, well, we'll show you something. We've been doing that. Follow up date again.
February 23rd, 10 a.m.
Location.
10 a.m., 15888 Archdale, right at Archdale and Puritan. St. Timothy United Methodist Church. Hopefully you guys can make it. And thank you very much.
We're also going to be talking about the budget because the city of Detroit is working on our budget. We will take some information and advice from you. In addition to that, other legislative updates. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. Appreciate you. We're going to be doing this again the first Friday of next month, same time, same place. Lord willing. But today I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up. God bless. Safe
travel. Did they tell you about the FPL change?
Yeah, man. Heard all about it.
Y'all got the.
Oh, yeah, we heard, and